What is up, guys? Welcome back to another quick episode here on the Fantasy Fellowship channel. My name is Kyle. Friday, August 9th, we're going to be doing a Draft Wizards mock draft, which we're doing Superflex. I think Draft Wizards is a really nice way to do a lot of mock drafts in a little bit of time. You guys can try different things pretty easily, and it just kind of allows you to just simulate a bunch of mocks quickly and basically just kind of dial in what you like. And their settings are pretty customizable, which I also like as well. So we're going to hop into a screen share here. And I think we're doing 106. We're going to do pick 106. And this is on Fantasy Pros. So like if you guys like Fantasy Pros, just type in Draft Wizard on the Google machine. We're going to do PPR. We'll leave it Snake and Basic. 12-team league. We'll do pick number 6. Let's do... So this is my league settings for Superflex leagues. 1 QB, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a tight end. We don't do kickers and defenses. And honestly, you should remove kickers and defenses from your mock drafts if you guys do want to play with this. We do 2 flexes, and we do 1 super flex, and I'm just going to add a 7th bench player. So 1 QB, 2 running back, 2 wideout, a tight end, 2 flex, a super flex, and 7 bench. Again, pick 106 in a super flex league. We're going to hit start draft, and it'll start simulating right away for us. So we're off to the races here. The first, let me see here. Let's kind of get rid of that draft board here. The first 5 picks are QBs, and it's funny because like in my Superflex drafts, this isn't how the real draft goes. So if you're that kind of draft, yeah, you probably should look at taking a quarterback with your first overall pick. In the drafts that I do in my home league, only 4 quarterbacks go in the first round of mock drafts. They're kind of a little bit more gun shy to take a QB. But with this being what it is, 5 QBs off the board here. I'm going to go to suggestions. It's going to tell me to take a quarterback here, 3 quarterbacks and McCaffrey. I can take any receiver I want, but you know what? We're going to live a little. And I think Anthony Richardson's a really good super flex pick because you're probably going to have 3 quarterbacks by the end of it. So you have that built-in emergency valve, or if Richardson does get hurt, you have other quarterbacks. So we're going to start our draft here from the 106 with Anthony Richardson. And I want to go back to the draft board, and we'll kind of just recap what's going on here. It looks like CJ Stroud, Joe Burrow. Why can't let me zoom out here maybe. There we go. First 7 picks were QB, McCaffrey, Burrow, Prescott, Murray. So 10 QBs round 1, Lamb and CMC in the first as your non-QB players. And then we have a string of like flex players here. Brees, Tyreek, JJ, Bijan, Amon-Ra, Jamar Chase. All these guys go to start round 2. So if I want, I could maybe look at going QB here and just having kind of fun with that, whether it's Brock Purdy, Jade Daniels. I think these guys are both pretty good picks as QB2 for us. I could take Jahmyr Gibbs and get one of my top 5 running backs. Otherwise, I don't know if I'm going to be liking, grabbing some of these guys here. Who knows what comes back to me? A.J. Brown, I'd love to get a top 5 receiver play if I could. But let's dabble. I actually have Jaden Daniels ranked higher than Brock Purdy, and he would be my pick here. I have him, I think, ranked QB12 in my projection. So we're going to live a little here, and let's go QB to start this Superflex draft. And we'll grab Jaden Daniels here to be our QB2, which I think he has a ton of upside as a rusher, and he should be pretty solid throwing the ball. So we grab our 2 QBs. We're kind of set there. Let's go back to the draft board. Purdy, A.J. Brown, Tua, Caleb Williams. So we did get ahead of that QB run there, which feels good. Saquon and Jonathan Taylor at the 2-3 turn. And then we got some receivers and Kieran Williams off the board here. So we kind of missed on a top end, like a top 5 wide receiver. We don't have a top 5 running back yet. That's going to be my focus here. And then we're going to probably try and get a solid QB3 at some point here. But dude, they tossed me Jahmyr Gibbs back around here, which is pretty crazy. I don't expect that to happen in a real life draft. We're going to take Gibbs here because I think that's a slam dunk pick if it does happen for you. Otherwise, Marvin Harrison, Olave, London, I think I'm fine with one of those receivers if I wanted to. You could grab ETN or Achane here too if you had to take a running back here. But we're going to take – this is a slam dunk. We're going Jahmyr Gibbs here, round 3. We got Richardson, Gibbs, and Jaden Daniels. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. A couple more quarterbacks go off the board here. You see A-Rod, Jared Goff. And then some flex players here. You got ETN, Marvin, Derrick Henry, Pacheco to end round 3. Tight ends are coming off the board in round 4 in Superflex leagues. You got Kelsey, Sam Laporta. You see Justin Herbert there, London, Achane, and Olave here. So far, so good, man. I'm feeling pretty good about this start. We got we got a top 5 QB maybe in Anthony Richardson. We have a top 10, top 12 QB in Jane Daniels. Superflex is locked down. Jahmyr Gibbs is a top 5 upside at the position here for PPR, and we probably need a receiver here. I could tap Trevor Lawrence and just hold him ransom. Otherwise, Rachaad White, James Cook, these are the running backs available here. Pittman, Waddle, Ayuk, Evans, Nico, Cooper Kupp. Like, there's some really good receivers left here still. And I think I'm going to push receiver up the board here. And honestly, part of me kind of wants to reach for Deebo Samuel here, who I think is just as good, if not better than any of these guys. So I'm going to do that right now in best ball leagues. I'm seeing Deebo Samuel go 12th, 13th off the board. A lot of people are nervous about Brandon Ayuk right now. I want Deebo on my team. He was wide receiver 2 the last 8 to 10 games of the season. I want Deebo on my team. I want a piece of that 49ers offense. And we're back up in the 5th round here. We missed on Trevor Lawrence and Kirk Cousins. That's fine. I'm glad we got her too early. The running backs we missed on are Jacobs, Kamara, and James Cook. I mean, we have Gibbs in there. I'm more inclined to wait for my RB2. I like to kind of make that a group and find a couple guys that I like there. But we're back on the clock here. I don't want to pull Rachaad White or Mixon. I'd like Kenneth Walker, though, as a running back, too. Maybe we don't pull him here. But I'm going to go ahead and grab my wide receiver number 2? Wide receiver 2. It could be Metcalf. It could be Devonta Smith. Could be Malik Neighbors. I'm going to grab Devonta Smith, who I think has a really high ceiling this year in that Philadelphia Eagles offense. For him to be a wide receiver 2 for me, he just needs to finish top 20, top 24. I think he's got a really nice, safe floor this year. So we grabbed Deebo and Devontae as our top 2 wide receivers. Gibbs is our running back 1. We're feeling pretty good there. The tight ends are coming off the board. Mark Andrews and Trey McBride join Kelsey and Laporta. And I do advocate to grabbing a top 5 tight end this year. If we want a QB3, I need to pull him here. And that is Will Levis, Geno Smith, Derek Carr. I might be inclined to do that because I just want to make sure all my bases are covered. But man, oh man, I'm taking Malik Neighbors here. I think Malik Neighbors is a slam dunk to be my wide receiver 3 this year. He's going to be the entire Giants offense. So we'll grab our 3rd receiver here. And just in terms of my starting roster, I now have one more flex spot to fill, an RB2 spot, and a tight end spot. So I'm feeling pretty good about what we built so far. Receivers are starting to level off. I could grab Kyle Pitts here as my tight end 1, and I think I might do that. I think grabbing a top 5 tight end threat is a huge advantage this year. So we'll grab Kyle Pitts here, round 7? That feels pretty good to me. I'm hoping we can get some action here at RB2 now. Again, I'll just kind of show the board here. We went 3 straight receivers, and we got Kyle Pitts. I have an RB2 spot and a flex spot to fill, and I love how this board fell, man. I'm feeling pretty good about this because we're going to slap in my favorite pick of the year, especially in a full PPR league. It's Jaylen Warren. I'm going to set him and forget there. That's 10 to 12 points minimum per week with his rushing volume being, 8 to 10 carries and probably 4 to 5 targets per game. Absolutely love Jaylen Warren there for us in the 8th round. Notice no quarterbacks coming off the board after Will Levis. We could take a peek at QB here, QB3, whether it's Geno, Derek Carr. I kind of don't hate taking Geno Smith. I'm going to do that because I got Richardson and Daniels. Those guys are both kind of risky. And I know Geno Smith's not risky, but I think he's a competent veteran that could be a nice piece there as our bench quarterback. So we'll grab Geno Smith, and now we're just going to load up our bench with some flex competition. We're just going to continue to draft running backs and receivers here. We'll do this stack here. We'll come back and get Jackson Smith and the Jigba, who I actually think he could outscore DK Metcalf this year. I think there's a world where JSN leads the team in targets and receptions, maybe not yards and touchdowns. That's probably a DK Metcalf stat, but I think JSN could be a better value in PPR leagues than DK Metcalf right now. So we'll grab him as our flex. I'm feeling pretty good. Our starting lineup looks great. Richardson and Jaden Daniels as the QBs. Running backs are Gibbs and Warren. We're getting a ton of PPR passes there. Deebo and Devonta as our top 2 receivers, but we came back with Malik Neighbors and JSN to finish our flexes with Kyle Pitts at tight end. To me, that feels pretty dang good. We do need some running backs. We only have 2. I think grabbing Chuba, Charbonnet, those guys are kind of at the top of the list right now, but I'm going to reach a little bit here and just grab Rico Dowdle, who I think might just be the best running back on the Dallas Cowboys team. Zeke's there, but he's not really a threat, I think, athletically much anymore. So we'll grab him and see what comes back around. Receivers, I still like some of the depth pieces here that we might kind of just run that empty. So I'm going to come back around and grab another sleeper. I'm not really high on Aaron Jones this year because I like Ty Chandler, and I think he's going to have a role in the offense. And he's in, when Aaron Jones does miss some games, like you got a starting running back in Ty Chandler. So we load Rico and Ty Chandler, just some running back bullets on our bench. We have 4 pretty solid guys there. I might end up taking one more running back here, but we're going to rotate towards wide receiver. Rashid Shaheed is, I think, a nice, wide receiver 5 flex option for us. Josh Downs, who I liked a lot. We're going to grab Josh Downs because 68 catches, 771 yards last year. I know he's got the high ankle sprain right now, but if he does return to full health and he's back to go week 1, like he might be a factor for us in a full PPR format. So we grab Josh Downs there, and that's kind of the recipe. I got my 3 QBs out of the way. I have a top 5 player at the running back with Gibbs, got a top 5 threat at tight end. I like my receiver core of Debo, Devonta, JSN, and Josh Downs. I still want to continue adding some weapons, though. We have 1, 2, 3 bench spots left to fill. I could grab a rookie running back here. Audric Estime is someone that I like quite a bit. I can maybe see who comes back to me at wide receiver. So we'll go ahead and grab Estime, who I think, he could be an early down goal line type back here who just gets more work as the season goes on. Not sure if he's a full PPR threat, but we'll grab him and just call it good at running back then. Jahan Dotson goes with my Jaden Daniels, so he's kind of the easy pick here for me. We have 2 bench spots to fill, so we'll plug it in, one with Jaden Daniels to Jahan Dotson, and then our walk-off pick here. I like a lot of these receivers late, guys, whether it's Darnell Mooney for Atlanta. We already have Pitts, though. I like Dontavian Wicks on my bench as a stash. I like Ricky Pearsall as a stash as well, especially if Brandon Ayuk gets traded. But Demarcus Robinson, a pretty good player here for the Rams. I think he's something to keep an eye on. I think what we're going to do, I got Debo on the team. I don't know if I want to grab Ricky Pearsall, but he is a first-round pick at the position, which could be really nice. You could wait on QB and grab the starter for the Raiders, whether it's Minshew or O'Connell here, or Jacoby Brissett, which could be a really nice pick as well. There's some backup running backs that intrigue me, whether it's A.J. Dillon, Justice Hill, Samaje Perine, Trey Sermon, Jordan Mason. There's some good players here. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab Dontavian Wicks. He's a guy that I like a lot as a receiver. We know Green Bay, they have a lot of receivers, but if there's an injury there that makes things more clear with the pecking order, I think that's what we can bank on with Dontavian Wicks at the end of our bench. So there you have it. Superflex draft from the 106. My QBs are Anthony Richardson, Jaden Daniels with Geno Smith on the bench. I think we got some excellent top 5 rushing upside with Richardson. And who knows, Jaden Daniels is going to put up some top 5 weeks when he pops off for big rushing games. And I think he can settle in as a thrower too, to be a top 10, top 12 guy. My running backs, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jalen Warren. I love that 1-2 punch. We're going to need a little bit of patience and depth here. We have Rico Dowdle, Ty Chandler, and Audric Estime. It's not the strongest depth, but I build my running back depth through the waiver wire, so we'll continue to build there. Maybe we end up cutting Estime and making a move week 1. I'm not sure. But I love my receiver depth. We have Debo, Devonta, Neighbors, and JSN as our top 4, which feels pretty good. And then Josh Downs, Dontavian Wicks, and Jahan Dotson at the end of the bench. So we're pretty deep at receiver. And then just Kyle Pitts at tight end. I only need 1 tight end in a 1 TE league. So I had fun with this one. I think it's a pretty good super flex draft. Let me know what you guys think, or if you guys have any questions on things or strategy-wise. But I want to thank you for your time. Thanks for hanging out with me in this draft, and have a good weekend. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.